quite a busy day that I've been quite distracted as far as getting organised for this webcast goes, and I've been doing quite a few other things as well, and there's been quite a few distractions along the way. Now, Monique again isn't here today, and even though I'm doing this as a live meeting that anyone can join, I am the only one here at the moment. Now, that has opened this particular session for me just to ramble on about anything, because if I'm the only one here, as mentioned in all the other webcasts, I'm not going to tackle the assigned subject. I'm just going to talk about maybe what happened through the day. And as I said, today was an interesting day, as in nothing specifically interesting in any particular area or aspect, but interesting in the point that those distractions in themselves gave me something to talk about. And excuse me for a moment. I'll just clear my throat. Anyway, those distractions gave me something to talk about, which is being distracted. As we live our busy lives, and most of us are quite busy, we've either got work or a family to juggle or a business to run or whatever it might be. Most people are busy for, let's say, 40 hours a week. And then they've got other assignments. If somebody's working or running a business 40 hours a week, let's say, then they may go home afterwards and they've got a family to deal with. So they've still got stuff they need to deal with. Many things can get in the way of living your Christian life. If you're working, you're probably spending that time thinking about what you've got to do in that particular work. You can't really dwell on God, God's presence, godly matters, as you're probably thinking about the next brick you've got to pick up and lay in the wall, that the brick wall that you're making, or whatever it might be. Many jobs, businesses will consume your mind entirely. Okay. Therefore, we can take away whatever that might be, 40 hours a week. If you're running a business, even a 9-to-5 business, you're probably working a couple of hours after the business as well, after the business closes. So it looks like Monique's joining us, and I'll continue on about distractions anyway.
Distractions.
So,
hi, Glenn.
We still need to find time to fit. I hate to say it that way. I was about to say to fit God into our lives. No, we should be fitting our lives into God. Finding time to build on that relationship with God, and finding time to do what you're called to. Every Christian has some kind of calling on their life. And whatever that calling is, it's going to take some of your time. Some people might have a calling that only takes a short amount of their time. And other people might have a calling that takes all of their time. They're working for God 12, 14, some days 16 hours a day. I know what that's like. I'm one of those people. I am constantly, normally from around about 8 a.m. to around about 9 o'clock at night, 12-hour days, 13, 14-hour days, 7 days a week. However, what I am doing is building a ministry. So my entire time is working for God. And even though I'm building a ministry, I realize that I can get so caught up in that I'm missing out on time to build my relationship with God. It happens to all of us, even people in ministry. So, what do we do about it? I guess one option is to create a schedule and schedule yourself time to work on that relationship. Have time to pray, have time to read the Bible, have time to go into depth in study, have time to put aside for whatever your calling might be. Have time to develop that calling. You will probably all be at different stages, of course. Some people might have just given their life to God, and therefore they know absolutely nothing, and they haven't scheduled time. They don't know about prayer and reading the Bible or anything like that. Everything's new to them. That's totally different to someone who has been a Christian for 20 years and they've read the Bible twice in that time, and they've had a lot of time with other people in ministry, pastors and teachers and so on, and they've got their life in order. But either end of that, the brand new Christian or the highly experienced Christian can still miss out on what God has available for them by not organising their life. So set aside time for prayer, reading the Bible, and so on. Set aside time for discovering your call if you don't know, training in that call if you do know, and working in that call if you not only know but have completed the training. Don't allow distractions, as in don't allow distractions because you haven't actually set a time or prepared a time. And once you've set a time, well, then stick to it. Another helpful thing there is then involving other people. If you're at the higher end of ministry, contact people and see how they're going in their journey from initial salvation to ministry. And again, everybody has some kind of ministry, even if it's just helps or service ministry. You might be an administrator of a church, or you might be an usher, or you might just be your average Christian, but you're still called to evangelism. And not necessarily as fivefold, but every single Christian is called to tell others about God. And I don't know why I've gone to that point, but I'll try and move on. So let's say you've set yourself a time, and let's say you happen to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you start work at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you take yourself an hour to get ready. You've still got an hour to travel to work. And let's say work is only half an hour away. Well, you've got half an hour in the morning in that case, where you can start your day with prayer and a simple half hour. Let's say your prayers maybe 5 minutes and 25 minutes of Bible study. It doesn't have to be specific to that time, as long as you are organised in some way. Because if we don't organise our lives in some way, we don't get things done. And generally, it's a matter of if we don't schedule a certain part of the day to do something, that ends up getting replaced by frivolity. And what I mean by that is if you intend to do something and you don't set a specific time or schedule to do it, you look back after a few days, if something happens to remind you, and you look back and go, well, hey, I haven't done that once in the week since the week ago when I decided I was going to do that daily. If you've got a schedule, write it in your schedule. If you've got an electronic schedule, even better. If you haven't got a schedule and you've got a mobile phone, set an alarm on your mobile phone. If you haven't got a schedule or a mobile phone, get somebody else in the house to remind you. If you live alone, create a network another way. Have somebody phone you up or something like that every morning until you create the habit and interact with other people. Get them to remind you of what you need to do and get on their case, not in a harsh way, in a loving way, of course, but get on their case to be active, to act for God. So that was looking at the morning. What if, on the other hand, we look at the afternoons and evenings? If you get home, and whether you've got a family or not, I'm not really going to get into, because that, if you haven't got a family, your activity once you get home is totally different to what would happen if you do have a family, generally speaking anyway. Some people in business, for example, might get home and they're going to be working on business whether they've got a family or not. So the relevant point there being, what do you do once you've entered into free time? Do you have a family routine or a meal routine that you go through, once you get home? And once that routine is over, what do? Sit down and relax and watch TV to get the day out of your head? Okay. I'm guilty of watching TV once my day is finished as well. Mind you, my day, as mentioned before, I'm going to start usually around 8 a.m., maybe as late as 9 a.m. And I'm still going to be working on these things at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And once I finish, then I'll watch TV for an hour. So, yes, I too need a winding down period and something to distract my thoughts, to be able to go to bed and not have my brain ticking over so wildly that I'm still laying there wide awake 2 hours later. And that's what happens with me. So I imagine it happens with many other people. Maybe not you, maybe you. So if it is you, maybe I'm speaking more directly to your heart. Now, on the other hand, as I said, we all need some period to relax and shut down from the day and get our mind to a point where we can go to sleep easily. However, what about the period between getting home, finishing your duties, having that family time, etc., and the time that you're then going into relaxation mode? For me, it used to be a matter of I would finish doing what I'm doing, I'd finish eating, etc., and then I might watch TV for 3, 4 hours and then go to bed. Now, these days, I've already eaten. I eat at around about, I start cooking at around about 5 o'clock, and I've normally eaten by about 5:30, so as to get back online, get organised, and do things like I'm doing right now, either communicating with other people or other tasks that I might be doing online or just on the computer or administration, whatever it might be. I might be doing things like creating new ads or creating business documents, because even a ministry should be organised enough that it has a business type document for it. It might not be a business, as in this particular ministry that I'm delivering this message to you through is a ministry to help people from the very beginning of becoming a Christian all the way through to stepping into their ministry and still holding their hand virtually after that. We will take you all the way through the entire process. Now, that's what this ministry does. However, why I've brought that point up, I've totally forgotten, because, again, I'm not saying this by a script or anything like that. I'm just talking about whatever. Okay, so I'll try and remember what we do and why was that relevant. Whatever your call is, whatever your ministry is, we want to help you get there. And that's not relevant to the point that I was about to say either, and I've totally forgotten the point that I was about to say. So I'll just go on about what we do, what we can do. No, I won't. I'll go back to what to do once you've finished eating through the evening, etc. And that's how I got there. I started saying that I then prepare for everything that I do at night, and everything I do at night is also related to this particular ministry. However, it used to be a matter of I'd sit down and watch the news and watch the current affairs and then watch a movie and waste a pile of time. Okay. Sure, you might still need at least an hour before going to bed. But the 2 or 3 hours between eating and dealing with family and whatever else, where you'd normally just sit around and watch TV, give that to God as well. In 2 ways. Your personal relationship and understanding, and as well as that, your ministry and call. So give that evening, and I'm talking about every evening, to God in prayer, in reading the Bible more, in studying more, in learning your call more, in working on that call more, and stepping out in that call. If you're called to be an evangelist, why not go out for an hour and evangelize, even though, excuse me, if you've trained, of course. But if you haven't trained first, if you're called to be an evangelist and you've trained to do so, so you know what you're doing, then go out and go with someone. I always suggest to have someone with you for multiple reasons. I'm not going to go into that right now. But if there's two of you, maybe you might go and knock on doors in the neighborhood. Okay, maybe you're not up to that. Maybe you want to go out to the shopping center area and talk to people on street corners or something. Maybe you just want to walk around town and look for people that are sitting by themselves on a park bench and approach and say, hey, can we have a chat with you for a while? Or you might walk up and say, hi, how you doing? You're looking a bit lonely there. You doing okay tonight? And use something open and welcoming and warm to talk to them. I'm going off into evangelism here, but the point being, whatever you call, if you've got time and if it is practical to do so, develop that call or do those things every moment you can find to do them. If you have a real relationship with God, then you understand charis. And if you understand charis, you are absolutely compelled to do all these things. I don't need to tell you these things. You're straining and struggling to find any spare minute you can to develop that relationship with God, to develop that call, to develop that ministry, to step out into that ministry and to show the love of God to everyone you possibly can in whichever way you're called. And when you're not doing those things that you're called to share that love of God with everyone you can possibly find. And the reason being, you don't want anyone to miss out because you understand that they can have this wonderful, powerful, compelling thing in their life that will transform their life into something far beyond the ordinary, something amazing, something wonderful, something compelling. And that's what charis is. And if you don't know, I've spoken about it before. Go back and watch the previous videos and messages. I'll fill you in again yet one more time very quickly. It is having God on your heart to such a degree that it is obvious in your life. 3 words to explain it. Most people see it as unmerited favor, though it's far more than that. That's one small aspect of charis. And it is unmerited divine inspiration or influence. Unmerited divine inspiration has a slightly different wording and a slightly different view, because an inspiration and an influence can be similar. If somebody inspires you, they have influenced you. But I can influence water by putting something in its path and making it go in another direction. And I've influenced the path of that water, but I haven't inspired the water. So they are different words. They do mean different things. But either one fits into what charis is. And you would know that and agree with that and understand that if you've seen my previous messages on charis. If you haven't, look at them. It's the most important word in Christianity other than the names of God. Okay, I've been rattling on for pretty much half an hour now, and this tells me that the 6:30 session is going to happen fairly soon. And I'm going to stick on schedule for these sessions. I'm going to shut the 6 o'clock session down before 6:30 every single night, and I'm going to start that 6:30 session on 6:30 every single night. Now I've got 3 minutes to do that. So just to wrap up, things to make sure you're getting your life right and you're heading towards where God wants you to do. Okay, that's my summary, just those few words. I'm also going to say govern well. And if you don't know what that means, to govern something is to be in control of it. And we should all be in control of our lives, not just leave them up to the winds of change, but be in control ourselves. So we need to govern our lives if we don't govern anything else. And we need to do it well with thought. So govern well in charis. Okay, good night from this session. I'm about to shut this session down and automatically start the 6:30 session.